All right, so welcome to part 2 of section 10.4. So we're solving these problems on the value. And so here we have one that has a merchant bought some silk pieces for $900. He had bought 3 pieces. If he had bought 3 pieces more for the same money, he would have paid $15 less for each piece. Find the number of pieces purchased. Well, we're going to do like we've been doing. We're going to have the A, our P, and our T. And so we know it's going to be 900 no matter which way we go. But we don't know the original X number or the original P number. But we know that if we had bought 3 more pieces, X plus 3, we would have actually had to pay 15 less. So that would have been P minus 15. So that's going to be how we set up this part. Now again, we're going to solve for that middle column. So we're going to get P is equal to 900 over X. And here we get P minus 15 equals 900 over X plus 3. So we've been used to the plus here and the minus here, but now we have it kind of backwards. Now again, we're just going to plug that right there. And so we get 900 over X minus 15 equals 900 over X plus 3. Now our LCD is just the X times X plus 3. And so that's what we're going to multiply this by. And when we multiply the first term, we get 900 times. Now the x's cancel, we get x plus 3. Now the next one, nothing cancels, so we have to multiply by both pieces. And then that equals, now the x plus 3's cancel, so we multiply by x. Now we have to go ahead and distribute here and get rid of parentheses, so that gives us that. So the 3 times 9 is 2700. Then we get the minus 15x squared minus 45x. And now because both sides have the same 900x, we just can cancel those out and we don't have to worry about saying we subtracted it on both sides. And now we can say, okay, well, that's a minus 15x squared minus 45x, and then plus 2700 equals 0. Now, 2700 is divisible by 15, so I'm going to multiply by a negative 1 over 15. That way my first term is positive, also becomes 1. This is divisible by 15, and so is that, and so I get x squared plus 3x minus 180 equals 0. All right, so what do we have for our factorization? So 180, and let's say we can have 18 and 10. Is that going to help us at all? No, that's going to give us 8. So what if we divided by, I don't know, 2? That's going to give us 9. Multiply that's 20. That's not going to help. What if we had instead taking, let's take a 3 over there. So if we divide that, that's going to be 6 and 30. What if we can subtract here and divide by 2. So that's 15 and 12. Okay, that'll work. So here we get x plus 15, x minus 12. And that's going to give us the 180, and then we're going to get 3x in the middle. So now we set each term equal to 0. We get x equals minus 15 and x equals 12. Well, we can't have a negative number purchased, so we're going to say x equals 12 pieces of silk. And if we wanted to, we could divide that out, and that's going to be $75 per piece. Okay, and so that would be really all we need to do. Now, if we wanted to do this one, we'd do 15. Now we subtract that, that would be 60, and that would still give us our $900 here. All right, what about this one? So we have a merchant bought a number of barrels of apples for $120. He kept 2 barrels for himself and sold the remainder at a profit of $2 per barrel, making a total profit of $34. How many barrels did he buy originally? Well, we're going to have A and our P and our T. So he bought it for 120, but he sold it for a profit of 34. So we have to take 34 plus that. So that's going to be 154. So we don't know X, we don't know P, but he kept 2 barrels for himself. So that's going to be X minus 2. But he made a profit of 2 here. And so now we have it set up so we can solve for our middle column. P is 120 over X, and P plus 2 equals 154 over X minus 2. Now again, we can plug that in there, and so we get 120 over X plus 2 equals 154 over X minus 2. And then we're going to multiply by our LCD. And so when we do that, we multiply each term. Now the first term, our x's cancel, we'll get 120 times x minus 2. Now we don't have anything cancel, so it's 2x times x minus 2. And here the x minus 2's cancel, so we just get 154x. Now we need to distribute, get rid of all our parentheses. And we end up with this. Now 120 and 154 are different, so we do have to subtract 154x from both sides. And that way we can see that that's 0. And now we have a 2x squared. And then 120 that's minus 34 minus that, so it's minus 38x, and then minus 240. Now, each one of those is divisible by 2, so I'm going to take 1/2 times everything. So that's going to be x squared minus, that's going to be 19x, and that's going to be minus 120 equals 0. And now 2 terms that are equal to 0. So 120, here let's say 12 and 10. Okay, well that difference is only 19, so we need to make one bigger. So if we say take divided by 2 here, that's 5, multiplied by 2, that's 24. 24 minus that's 19, so that would be okay. So x minus 24, x plus 5. Now if we set each term equal to 0, we get x equals 24, and here we get x equals negative 5. Now he can't buy a negative 5 barrels, so we throw that one out. And so we say x equals 24 barrels purchased. And if we want, how much did he purchase it for? Well, we just divide the 120 by 24, and we find out that it was $5 per barrel. Okay, and that's all they asked for. If we wanted to, we could solve the next one. So we'd take 24 minus 2, that'd be 22. 5 plus 2 is 7, and that should give us where our profit is at $34. All right. How about this one? So a man bought a number of articles at equal cost for $500. He sold all but 2 for $540 at a profit of $5 for each item. How many articles did he buy? All right, so A, our P, and our T. So he bought it for 500. He sold it for 540. So let's say that's X and that's P like we've been doing. Now he sold all but 2, so we're going to subtract off 2 there. And he made a profit of $5 each, so P plus 5. Now we solve for that middle column. P equals 500 over X, and here we get P plus 5 equals 540 over X minus 2. And again, that can be substituted there. And so that would be what we get. Now we want to get rid of the denominator, so we multiply by that LCD. And so our LCD is just x times x minus 2. First term, x's cancel, so we get 500 times x minus 2. The next one, that nothing cancels, so we have to multiply by x and x minus 2. And the next one, x minus 2's cancel, so we get 540x. All right, now we distribute here and here to get rid of the parentheses. And that's where we go. Now, this is not the same as this, so we can't cancel, so we just have to subtract 540x on both sides. So we get 0 here, so we get 5x squared, and then we have a minus 40, minus 50x, and minus 1,000. So I see that there's a factor of 5 in all of those. So I'm going to multiply by 1/5. And that gives me x squared minus 10x minus 200 equals 0. Now 200, I'm going to take 10 and 20. Oh, that works. So x minus 20 and x plus 10, because 20 minus 10 is 10, and 20 times 10 is 200. So I start usually with ones that are really simple as far as I can figure out, and then I just go from there like you've been seeing. Now, if I set each factor equal to 0, I get x equals 20, and here I get x equals negative 10. Now, you can't buy negative 10 articles, so we can say, okay, well, x is equal to 20 articles. And then P, he bought so many, and how many did he buy? Well, we're going to here take 500 divided by our 20, and he bought 25 of them. Or he paid 25, I should say, per article. Okay. All right, where'd my ego? There we go. And so those are the two items that would be required. Now, if we did the second line, it'd be 18, and this would be 30. And if you take 18 times your 30, you're going to get your 540. All right, last one I'm going to show you today. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our AP&T. So it says a group of boys bought a boat for $450. 5 boys failed to pay their share. Hence, each remaining boy was compelled to pay $4.50 more. How many boys in the original group, and how much did each originally pay? Okay, so we know that no matter what, we're paying $450 either with or without those boys. So we'll say that's X, that's P. Now 5 less, the 5 didn't pay, so we're going to have 5 less. But the P, the price went up by 4.5. Again, solving for that middle column, we get P equals 450 over X, and then we get P plus 4.5 is equal to 450 over X minus 5. That can go right there. And so 450 over X, and then plus 4.5 equals 450 over X minus 5. Now again, LCD is X times X minus 5. So that's what I'll multiply by here. When I do that, I get 450 times X minus 5 because our X cancels, plus 4.5x times X minus 5, nothing cancels, and then 450x because our X minus 5 cancels. Now I have to distribute, and so that gives me 450x minus, and that's going to give me 2250, I believe, and then plus 4.5x squared minus, and that's going to be 2250, or 22.5 rather than 2250x, and then that equals 450x. All right, now we've got the same thing on both sides again, so that will cancel that. Now I have 4.5x squared minus 22.5x minus 2250 equals 0. All right, what do I want to do? Well, I want to multiply everything by 2 to get rid of all my decimals. So that will give me 9x squared, and then minus 45x, and then minus 4500 equals 0. Well, now I've got it with whole numbers. I can see that there's a factor of 9 here, so I can now multiply it by 1/9 to get rid of the bigger numbers here. So that's x squared minus 5x minus 500 equals 0. So now I need x and x. And so if I take 500 and do 50 and 10, that difference is 40. So if I divide by 2, I get 25. Multiply by 2, I get 20. That will work. It's going to be minus 25 plus 20. So x equals 25 or x equals negative 20. Well, there's not going to be a negative 20 boys, so I'll have x equals 25 boys, and the price they paid was the 450 divided by the 25, which is $18 each. Okay, so if we go the other way and take on the second line, 25 minus that, that's 20. And then if we take that times the 18 plus 450, that's going to be 2250, and that gives us back our 450 for the total. So that then is going to be our price. Okay. And that's all I have for you for section 10.4.